if you're watching on that first day, you will know that as soon as I say the first word on the first day of the World Cup, the lump will be there. Because I think that's going to be a bigger lump on that day than it even was in 2013 when I joined NBC, because this is the biggest thing to ever happen to my career. And I'm feeling it. I've got to do what I've just said the US men's national team have got to do. I got to turn it and be positive, because right now I'm feeling like I'm so nervous.
Oh, well, know that like literally from every single woman who loves the sport, like you rock it for us. Like, I hope you just know that. Like, it is so awesome. I go up. I think it's so cool that my kid I turn it on, and that he's growing up being like, knows soccer. He talks about it. What team are we cheering for? Like, and it's cool. Like, you're the voice of it for us. Like, it's just, it's cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the newest soccer and lifestyle podcast and your soon-to-be favorite show, Style of Play. I'm your host, Julie Ertz, joined by my dear friend and co-host, Kealia Watt.
Hey guys, make sure you subscribe and follow us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And please follow us on social at Style of Play Show.
Okay, we have a podcast. How are you feeling?
So excited. I feel like this has been so many months in the making, and we've been working really hard on this. So for it to finally be here, I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm so excited. There's so much soccer also coming up in the next 3 years, between the Men's World Cup coming up, Women's World Cup, Olympics. Like, this is crazy, and what an exciting time.
I just feel like too, with motherhood and kind of where the direction of our lives have gone, it's been hard. We want to stay connected to the game, and this is just such a cool way. We're going to be talking to so many athletes, talking about the women's national team, talking about the NWSL, and it's just like a cool way to stay connected and help grow the game.
What did JJ say when you were like, hey, the other JJ, and I are going to come together and have our show?
Well, he was actually very excited because, as you know, he loves Zach, your husband, like a lot. I'm like, do you like him more than me? But he's so excited for us. He's like, you guys will be perfect at it. This is like such a great time to do it. He gives his input all the time. So gotcha. Yeah, I got to kind of push him away. But no, he's so excited for us. What is Zach thinking?
I think he's just crazy that it's so full circle for us, really. I mean, think about it. We played together when we were 14, went through the Under-20 World Cup. Then we go into the NWSL League in the same year we get drafted. And then we play together in Chicago. And then you move down the street from us. Like, it's very full circle, let alone then we get back into our connection with the football world, obviously the other football, being with JJ and Zach. And then they were on the same team. It really is crazy and so cool to show how small soccer really is, like the soccer world.
And like for us to have our kids so close, like obviously there's kind of a gap between the last two, but like we have been through so many of the same things. We literally trained together coming back from pregnancy. So I just think that it'll be so fun. And we have the perfect first guest. Like, I'm so excited that we got to talk to Rebecca Lowe. She's an icon. She's literally the face of the Premier League in America. And I'm so excited to talk to her. We had a great conversation about motherhood and working and navigating your career. And I think it's really special.
Yeah, we've been doing this teammates, friends, and mom thing long before the podcast was ever a thing. So let's get into our favorite part of the show, coffee first. We're moms. What is being a mom without coffee? We're basically running off of 99% caffeine anyway. Where we hand the mic over to you guys, friends, family, fans, even our producers get a shout to ask us questions that we wouldn't really ask ourselves. Our first question is coming from a very special somebody, Zach Ertz. Yay!
Congratulations, you two, on launching the Style of Play podcast. I'm honored to send in a question. I know JJ is going to send in something hilarious because that's who he is. Me, not so much. So my question for you, Julie, if you could interview 3 people for your podcast, dead or alive, who would it be and why? And I cannot wait to hear the answer.
Oh, gosh. Okay. I feel like I would say I feel like Ronaldinho. I feel like we've been watching his documentary, and I feel like it was just
legend.
Yeah, like very cool. It'd be I feel like him. I feel like I'm picking like all soccer people. I'm trying to think of should I go like royalty, like Kate Middleton, like something around
love her,
like English, like soccer. I feel like you could talk about stuff. And then you know what? I'm gonna throw Zach and JJ in there because they're hysterical together.
They are.
And obviously, like they give us stuff all the time, funny topics to talk about. So those would be my three.
Those are really good. I
three
agree.
random.
I love all those. And I think whenever we have Zach and JJ on, we are going to laugh a lot.
And of course, our next question is from another special guest, JJ Watt.
All right. First things first, don't mind the stain on my shirt. That's from Nico. But extremely excited to listen to this podcast between you two. I think it's going to be incredible. Honored to have the opportunity to ask a question on the first episode. And in the interest of creating good content and podcast fodder, my question will be 4K. What is the best, worst Christmas present you ever received? Love it.
Okay. I know exactly what he's talking about. So let's see. That would have been in about 2018. JJ and I were together, but we were not married yet. And I got home one day. It wasn't Christmas though. It was like a couple days before. And I got home and I like saw his car door open and I was walking inside and I saw like a cage in the back of his car. Like that's all, it literally looked like a cage. And I was like, what the hell? So I walk inside. He has 2 puppies. We had not talked really about getting a dog. We had like sent cute things back and forth. He has 2 puppies in there on the ground, a golden retriever and a golden doodle. And I was so shocked. I was like, JJ, are those our dogs? And he's like looking at me and he's like, yes, like it's your Christmas present. He's so excited. And he's wondering why. I'm like, kind of like, what are you doing? JJ forgot that I am severely allergic to dogs. Like
Me too,
like,
actually.
Really? Yes.
Yes.
Especially big dogs. Like I can kind of do smaller dogs. And I'm like looking at him like, you just got 2 like 90 pounds. They're both almost 90 pounds now. Dogs that I'm allergic to. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I'm like, you forgot? Like, this is like, but we couldn't give them back. Like we have these like, cute puppies. And so we kept them, obviously. Now they're like I said, 90, 95 pounds. And I have just dealt with the consequences. I'm currently on, have you ever heard of allergy drops? It's like it's like a different version of allergy shots.
Yeah.
I have to put drops in my mouth every night for 5 years. I started.
Where are you at in those 5 years?
Started it 3 months ago, Julie. I have 5 years left, and they're like.
So before this 3 months, when you first got the kids, you have been struggling. So your eyes have been swollen shut with allergies.
Swollen, breathing problems, like, and I love my dogs so much. Like I would never imagine life without them, but it's been a tough road.
So your worst Christmas gift was basically allergies.
Exactly. He gifted me allergies.
I was gifted allergies
for the rest of my life. Yes.
That's actually so funny.
I know. I was like, gee. And the funny thing is like it had come up so much. Like all of our family members have big dogs, and I would be like struggling. Like we'd have to figure out how I'm gonna get through the weekend. And I'm like, JJ, you forgot? Like, how did you forget that?
Oh my goodness. Not only did JJ basically get you 2 dogs during your guys' athletic career, not just 1, 2. It was absolutely crazy. We've talked about this a ton just together because you and JJ are kind of in this segment of life of retirement. And I think unfortunately, like it's like inevitable for every athlete as well. I've been retired now. It'll be 3 years in September, which seems like so crazy. But I don't think you're ready to like necessarily prepare for it, just because I remember being told all the time, like, don't put your eggs in one basket. But it was like, how do you not, when this is your dream and your passion that you want to do that? So I never really like thought about it past what I was going to do after I played. And I also just don't think, how do you prepare when you put cleats on every day of your life for 25 years and then one day you just like don't put them on anymore? And I remember watching this like video, and it's pretty famous. I've actually heard a bunch of people talk about it, where Thierry Henry was like, you know, when he talked about retirement, he talked about it was like the death of the athlete that nobody really, and I think in the beginning I really I really like felt that in that sense of saying, okay, like I'm just never going to put my cleats on again. But as time's gone on, I feel like there is a lot of different moments in your retirement for people when they say bye. And for him, listening to him talk about it, like he went to the wheels fell off where he's like, I physically like cannot do this. And I think it's different for someone who feels like, I made the decision pretty young, I feel like in my career. And so I feel like you go through that in that phase. And I don't know, the hard thing for me, once as time's gone on, thinking about that, and I'm sure this is what he meant, but for me, it's like, you're like, well, like I could still do that kind of stuff, right? I'm still that same person. I just don't have that outlet. And that was like the most eye-opening, I think, for me is like, I'm still that competitive person. I'm still this, I'm still that, like my outlet is gone. And I think that was like a process in itself. And I think motherhood has been such a beautiful journey to be able to shift my purpose for sure. And let alone find that I was having twins. I'm like, whoa, what a change in that fact. But I think I'm so interested in your side as well, because you went very different, right? Like I feel like a lot of people dream of having that like closure and that choice to make that decision, which is what I had. And, you came off of an injury, got pregnant. Like, what did that decision look like for you?
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. Like that's our identity is being players and we played for so long and it's everything we know. And so then ending your career on an injury is hard. That's like the last play I remember so vividly because I tore my ACL. But when I got injured, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure when I got injured that would be my last play, that would be the last game I ever played in. And then I got pregnant, like you said, and was rehabbing. We rehabbed together. And then I just kind of felt like I just knew that it was time and I had made peace with that. But it doesn't mean that you don't miss it and like mourn that former self. And I think for me, it was really hard. I became a mother so quickly after getting injured. And then that whole identity is so different. And I think anyone, no matter what your job is or what you do, when you become a mother, you kind of go through a bit of an identity crisis because you're just so used to being this former self. And I remember when I had Koa, JJ was still playing and he, was off for a couple days and then he went back to work and he went back to playing and he had a game that weekend. And I remember feeling like this is tough because you don't get to just go right back and you don't get to, you kind of see everybody else go back to who they were before and you never do. And it is beautiful. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
But it is so difficult because it's this like finding your new identity and this new shift that you were someone for so long and you will never be totally that person again.
Yeah. Did it register that you were no longer like a professional athlete just because your series was recovery, right? So you're like recovering from an ACL, you get pregnant, then you're recovering from postpartum. So did that shift just into motherhood allow you to be like, okay, like I'm already here, I already feel it, or where were you at?
When I was rehabbing and when we were training together, it was really important for me to have the mindset of I'm going to come back just so that I, could get my body back and have something to work towards. Like, how difficult it is to come back from having a baby, which was harder for me than my ACL. Like, I remember being out on that field, like we've talked about it, literally like peeing my pants because it's just so different. You've had a baby, your body is not the same. Your abs are totally stretched. You're also caring for a child now. Like before, it is all you all the time, your recovery. We were so selfish before we had kids in a good way. And so you have a baby. So like working out and all this isn't your number one priority anymore. It's just not. And so, but I kept that in my mind. Like I kept that like, in case you want to go back on the field, in case you want to play, you have to train as hard as you possibly can, which is all we really know.
Yeah.
And then when I finally knew and like finally made that decision, there was a big shift because it was no longer, we were at Exos, one of the best training facilities in the world. there's no longer like I'm going into Exos for 3 hours to train. It kind of shifted to, my gym workouts and my Pilates workouts, and like it's just different. The longest soccer celebration I've ever been a part of? Last summer, my buddy's team scored in stoppage time to win the match, and I swear the whole block was yelling goal for 5 straight minutes. By the time everyone finally calmed down, I was reaching straight for an ice-cold Coors Light.
And this summer, with more matches and more celebrations happening than ever, there's only one way to keep the good times rolling, with a cold Coors Light.
I always wait for those mountains to turn blue before I crack one open. That's when you know your beer is as cold as the Rockies.
Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for that crisp, refreshing taste that just hits differently during a big match or a watch party.
So whether you're celebrating goals with friends at home or catching the action with a crowd, make it a Coors Light summer.
Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door at CoorsLight.com/SOP or pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Coors Light, more goals, more celebrations. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado beer.
Did you, when you went back and you played, did you know before, like, this is my last thing, this is the last, or did you kind of wait, go back, and then say, okay, I'm done? Like, did you make that decision before going back?
When I had Madden, I remember like telling US Soccer, like I just like logistically, I was like, I don't know how to make this work. I don't live in a city that has an NWSL team. Like I had the itch. I was training. I was really surprised actually how quickly that I was able to kind of get back training. And I was like, and they're like, we don't need an answer right now. Like, just take your time, which was great. I just like physically on paper was like, Zach, I just don't know how I'm going to make this happen. And I actually told him like, I can't go back. Like, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to just like retire. And I remember just having those conversations, told it with Zach. And I think he could see it in my eyes that I like wasn't done. Like, I just didn't have that like closure piece that I think most athletes, whatever that looks like for them in closure. And I went somewhere, I don't know, came back, and like literally he's sitting on the couch with Madden and being like looking at the TV and being like, put highlights, like literally YouTube highlights of myself, which seems so ridiculous.
That's so sweet.
And I know now I feel
really
like it was
sweet.
like so sweet. Like I could get teary-eyed because you could just see that Zach wanted to make sure that I made the decision strictly for like what my heart actually wanted versus like logistical, because I feel like the passion of soccer is why it's so hard to say bye, right? Like, because it's just a piece of you, right? Like I think you want the sport to mourn you. And it doesn't. It just moves on. It's just like, even like the best of the players, right?
Anything.
Like, yeah, like the best players, right? Like I could go through every sport and they'll be like, oh, that's the, even like, the conversation of who's the GOAT and like Michael Jordan, whatever. Like it moves on, like regardless of how good you are or whatever. And I think you're like, well, I'm mourning here. Like soccer, do you want to mourn a little bit with me? And it moves on. And I think that gratitude of the sport that you're like, I'm so thankful for it. It's just like soccer owes me nothing. It's like, I just owe my whole life, right? Like even just like us, like our friendship, like how long we've known each other. And I think soccer just brings you so many of that and so many experiences that I would have never had without it. And so I think that part of it and that locker room piece, the just being able to like find you and like be in a space that you can just learn and just, totally strips you of like, gosh, I have to rebuild myself in different ways that you didn't think and challenge yourself. And I think that allows confidence in just everything you do. And that's what I love about the sport. But
we have a really cool video, Julie. I want to play it and get your reaction because it's amazing.
And with the US leading by 2-0 in the 35th minute in Cincinnati, this is the moment for Julie Ertz to bid farewell and bring the curtain down on a wonderful career.
Like, what do you feel when you watch that?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like a place that I wouldn't change where I'm at now. Like I love it, but it's like place that you just don't have anymore, you know? So it's like a piece of you like you don't know. I wasn't expecting to have a farewell game. And I think that is what was like allowed me to like really process it, right? Because I said I was just going to be done before the logistics of my life didn't make sense. And they were like, we'd like to give you, you know, a few minutes at least to basically like say bye. And it was probably the best gift you can give somebody that like wants to retire, like that is retiring, really, to be able to like step off the field knowing that you have one last time. And so, I mean, I feel like I was more emotional watching the film than that day, just because I was able to process it. And it's like, I you know, FaceTime Madden right before like I walked out. And so I think it was just like more of a very peaceful feeling. And there was no noise, right? Like I've never really been able to hear the crowd. I honestly barely hear my teammates. That they probably hated that because I just blacked out, you know, you almost just get in this zone. And so it was just a very peaceful moment. Like if I could explain being back in like your, you know, 9-year-old self when I like fell in love with the sport. And it was just like a moment of peace watching off the field. And I just wanted to just say thank you to my teammates. It was more as a moment of gratitude for sure. I think just being able to walk off and just be like, okay, on like moving on. I was at peace, made the choice. But I've learned that like two things can be the same. That's what's been hard. Like two emotions can be the same. I can be excited for the next phase and I can be really sad. That piece is like gone. And I had to like be okay. I'm like, it's okay to feel both. Where before I felt like I had to be like either.
I feel like until we are old enough to where we truly could not play anymore, and all the players that we've played with have retired, there will always be that like little piece of you that's like, should I go play? Or like, I wish I could like step back until we're like
no
50. I think we'll always kind of feel that little inkling of like, I wish I could step back out on the field.
Yeah. How do you feel like now? Like we're away. We're still fans now, you know, fans in a different way. I honestly had to learn how to be a fan, which was pretty interesting. Like, where are you in women's soccer now as a fan? Like, where do you see it? Like, it's crazy to see the growth. It's incredible. We're a part of it from really the beginning. I mean, the second year that the league started, you know, World Cup's a year away. Like, what are your thoughts?
To think about some of the things we went through our rookie year, like, I mean, we've shared so many funny stories, like pulling up to the field, no locker room, no laundry. You would jump out, play and practice, then jump back in your car and drive away. Like to see the growth of the NWSL and the national team and just all the things that these players are getting, the maternity leave support and the return to play. It's almost unbelievable. I don't think my rookie year I would believe where women's soccer is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So quickly. And same with all women's sports, but especially women's soccer. And we're just in such an exciting time. We have the Men's World Cup, the Women's World Cup is coming up. And I love this sport so much. I want to stay connected and I'm always watching the games and always following these athletes. And to see the way these athletes are brands now, like that is something that has changed so much. There's just so much opportunity. So I feel like for us, it's really cool to get to stay involved and stay close to it.
Yeah, especially like, I mean, I'm just putting my, like how fast the year will go by where the Women's World Cup is coming up. I mean, they're already starting the process now. Their next camp is actually in Brazil. And the US Soccer does this, gosh, a year out. They always try to go kind of where the venues that you're going to play, kind of give you guys that visual representation of like what it's going to be like. And those are where the games are coming up their next friendlies in June. So I think it feels real. Like I watch it. I'm so excited for this group. It's a super young group. I get asked this all the time, like literally from fans, dog fans, whatever. They're like, gosh, like tell us about this, you know, team. They're so young. Like who should I be looking at? And it really is crazy. Like I feel like every time I look at a roster, like there are people where I'm like, wow, like they could be inkling. I never looked at the under 23 national team like ever like on the list. And I like look at it now because I'm like, who's right there about to like kind of, you know, they're right at the edge of the heels of these players. So like if you want to talk about a competitive player pool, it's like this player pool.
And this time is so important because it's about to be qualifiers coming up. And it's just like this last little window for at least this year in the NWSL to really show who you are and show. And I think that We have players coming back from maternity leave. I always look at the forward line because, that was always my, in the player pool, just trying to break in. And this group, it is so difficult to break in. You have Mallory Swanson, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Wilson, all coming off of this triple espresso incredible run. But 2 are coming back from maternity leave and they look great so far, but how quickly can they get back? So I think that, there's still players in the league that have a chance to slip in. I think Ashley Sanchez, she's having such an incredible year. Players like her, where you just have that last little push, can you get into the team? But I mean, it's the most competitive team in women's soccer, in my opinion, in the world. So I just think that this moment in time is so important for these players.
Yeah, I agree. Form is really everything at the time. I mean, I feel like I have an idea of who I feel like right now is a bulk of the team for sure. But I wasn't a starter before the 2015 World Cup until 3 months prior. So really anything can happen when these player pools, right? It's just focus on yourself in the time, which is a lot harder to do, especially when, these rosters are released. But for me, it's now what are the questions where we're at now? I feel like, watching these games, I feel like it's kind of clear the goalkeeper situation. It's who's going to be alongside Naomi Girma. You have, I'm still with the who's your, right now it's Heaps and Lavelle are just insane right now in form. And so it's who's that third one? And especially when it comes in the midfield, you need to have a little bit of rotation in that third one, let alone all 3 of them, because it's a lot. It's a lot in a World Cup of games. And so it's that, right? And then who's going to be your starting? I don't think you have a problem in the front line. It's just who are you going to start and when you're going to start them, right? So I'm super excited. I think this is be a time that people should be super excited. I'm also excited to tell stories of why you should fall in love with some of these younger players, because this is going to be an insane group, an insane year to follow just because of the talent alone. This episode is brought to you by Airbnb.
We've spent a lot of our lives traveling for soccer camps, games, all of it. Literally, after a long travel day, the first thing we would want to do is crawl into bed and watch our shows together. And some of the best memories honestly happen off the field, just hanging with your people.
And lately, when we're planning trips with friends or family, we've realized how much better it is when everyone can actually stay together. Being in a 2 pro athlete home, you go where the game takes you. And when we stay at an Airbnb, we always have enough space for the kids.
That's why for group trips, we love booking stays on Airbnb. You get the space to relax, hang out, and spend quality time together.
It just makes the whole trip feel easier and way more fun. Hiring is funny. Sometimes the resume looks great, but the person just doesn't seem excited about the job. And according to CNBC, nearly half of hiring managers say enthusiasm is actually one of the biggest things they look for when deciding who to hire.
Well, if you need to hire for your business, how can you separate the candidates who are really excited about your opportunity from the other ones that are just meh? ZipRecruiter.
ZipRecruiter has a new feature that quickly lets you see the most interested, qualified candidates first, so you meet the right people faster.
And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/styleofplay.
I also love that candidates can tell you in their own words why they're interested in your job. And ZipRecruiter's smart matching technology connects you with qualified candidates instantly.
Plus, ZipRecruiter's new feature puts the most interested, qualified candidates right at the top of your list. No wonder ZipRecruiter is the #1 rated hiring site based on G2. Use ZipRecruiter and find enthusiastic talent fast.
4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/styleofplay.
That's ZipRecruiter.com/styleofplay. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Hey, it is time to bring on our amazing guest, football royalty, one of the most recognizable voices in the game, diehard Crystal Palace fan, a face of Premier League football in the U.S., mom to Teddy, from NBC Studios to touchlines around the world, and now the FIFA Men's World Cup voice, our good friend, Rebecca Lowe.
Girls, thank you so much for that lovely introduction, but also thank you for having me on this amazing new podcast. Congratulations. Honestly, when the email came through to ask if I could come on, I honestly cleared the calendar because you two are very special and in so many ways, and I was just honored. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for coming on. And I do have to add one thing to the list. Fashionista. Your outfits every week. I'm like, she looks so good.
Kealia,
pre-plan?
Okay. Okay, girls, you're giving me far too much credit, okay? Number one, we have like a whole stylist crew at NBC. You know what it's like. You know, these big networks, they're amazing. We have an amazing group and they do a lot of pulling things. Yes, I choose between a few, but they give me the options. I've had some shockers down the years. Before I had the stylist crew, I've had some absolute shockers. I mean, I've done so many shows. I'm actually glad that I've done so many because I hope and think people might have forgotten some of the kind of 2016, 2017, terrible sort of blouse situation. But I think I've found my style, which I do think also comes with age. And I think I finally found like, okay, no, this is who I am. Comes with confidence, it comes with age. So, but thank you. That's so nice.
You
Thank
look amazing every week. So we want to start off with a little game of start, bench, cut. So we're going to give you three things and then okay. Premier League, Olympics, and World Cup.
Okay, that is so hard, Kay. That is
so hard.
Oh my God.
Can you even do it? Can you even do it?
As long as this isn't being heard by anybody out there.
Yeah, this isn't going anywhere.
Just us three. Oh God. That's horrible.
It's hard.
I can tell you know it. I know what you want to say. You're just pausing. I know you know which one you're cutting for sure.
Yeah, I'm cutting the Olympics. As much as I love the Olympics, I'm cutting the Olympics. Just because I've done 7 of them and I feel like that's a good excuse to just say. And also there's lots of sports. I'm like, I'm sorry, what is happening? What is going on with the skateboard? I don't know what's happening. So we're going to cut that. But we're not really cutting it. We still
no.
We love it.
Okay.
We love it. It's just a game. It's just a game.
Okay. It's just a really fun game. Okay. I'm gonna wow. I mean, I feel like this is very loaded. I'm gonna start the Premier League because I think that it's the day in, day out, you know, girls, it's what pays the bills. So we're going to go, let's just call it what it is. We're starting
making a business decision here.
Yes.
Correct. We're benching the World Cup. But of course, as we know, these days, if you start on the bench, you normally come on and win the game. So,
Exactly.
Great. That was a great answer,
Thanks.
Rebecca. That was a great answer. So I wanted to start off with a story. I think the first time I met you in person was at a Burnley game. And we were down on the field. It was the first game of the Premier League season. So you guys had the crew out and we were all on the field and JJ and I got asked to come on and we were all standing at the desk and it was all men and you. I think Tim Howard,
probably the two
bunch,
Robbies.
Gary Neville, Robbie's, Alan Pace, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
And we're all talking and then they start the broadcast, they count you in and you just took over. Like it was like your desk, no teleprompter. And I was looking at you like, first of all, I was like, she's my idol. I talked about it with JJ for weeks after, but you just took control. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so good. And I guess our question is, how long did it take you to get that comfortable?
Well, first of all, that's so lovely. That's actually given me chills. And I remember that moment so well, meeting you for the first time. A long time. It took a long time. Probably half of my career, probably until I came to America. I think part of that, girls, is that in the UK, it's so hard to get comfortable. Well, certainly when I was there as a female in football, it's just not a comfortable place to be in any way, shape, or form. I can't speak for playing it, but I know that that wasn't fun either back in those days. But certainly in the broadcast space, it just wasn't comfortable. When I came to America, everything changed. It was a much warmer embrace. Americans generally are just so positive, and I just find them so lovely. But within the soccer world, everybody just was so lovely straight away, and that made me more comfortable. And then really, it takes reps. You know, I think it takes. I remember when I went on air in 2013 with the very first Premier League show, my producer was counting me down in my ear and I'd moved my family over. Well, it was just me and my husband at that point. We'd moved over. He'd left his job. We'd started this new life and he was counting me down in my ear. And it was like that entire life decision flashed across my eyes. And I could hear 4, 5, 4. And I had a lump in my throat of, that'd never happened to me before, of fear, excitement, but also mainly just fear, actually. Just fear that I was going to fail because I had this weight of that decision on my shoulders, of this network launching this brand new show. That level of nerves I have had a lot in my life, and I'm sure I'm going to have this summer at the World Cup. But once you do something enough, and my God, for 13 years now I've been doing this show, week in, week out, those nerves do change to more excitement. And then and through reps, you do become more relaxed and you become more comfortable. And the people you're working with, you get to know them better. And also, if you know your topic really well, if you put me in ice hockey, I would be like, no, hang on a second. I need prompter. I need at least 3 researchers. Tell me what I'm supposed to say. I mean, I wouldn't have it. It's all about knowing your topic inside out. So luckily, because I love football and I love the Premier League, I know it so well that I shouldn't say nothing, but if almost anything went wrong, I'm fairly certain I could sort of handle it. But again, that comes from experience. I was there on the side of the field when Fabrice Muamba collapsed at the quarterfinal of the FA Cup between Bolton and Tottenham over 10 years ago. Had to handle that. I've had moments like that, but it only comes with time. So to answer your question, time, reps, and age.
Well, you talk about being a trailblazer. I kind of want to extend on that because there really wasn't someone for you to look for as like another woman to be like, wow, I see that again. And I think there's something about being a trailblazer and believing in yourself. I know you're still humble, but I'm like, I want you to brag of like, what is it that took for you to be like, I can do this? Like, I'm going to fail a little bit, but like what characteristics, because I think that's like important for someone going into something new and that you've just been able to do it.
That's a really good question, Julie. I had none of that for years at the beginning of my career. Full-on imposter syndrome, which we all get at different times, and I still get now. But for the first 10 years of my career, I had it really, really badly. I absolutely did not think I was good enough in any way. Why I even kept going, I look back now and kind of wonder why I kept going through all of that doubt. And I think it was mainly because I didn't have anything else. I was kind of in it by then. I was trying to forge a career. What made me think I could do it was 2 things. It was what I just mentioned about Fabrice Muamba. When he collapsed on the side of the field and I was hosting the FA Cup quarterfinal, I had Kevin Keegan and John Barnes with me. And this moment I knew was obviously huge. We actually thought he had died. We were being told from sources down the tunnel that he had died, which turns out, I think he had one of those situations where technically he did, but they managed to get him back. So I was being fed this, knowing that his family were watching because it was a Bolton away from home. So his family was back home watching it on ESPN. Having to navigate that, plus Kevin Keegan had a former player of his die on the field. So he was very emotional. So having to navigate his emotions at the time and hold on to the broadcast by its fingernails as I could to try and make sense of what was happening, knowing people were tuning in all the time, to tell them and update them what was happening in a tone that was correct. That, I didn't know if I was doing a good job or not. And I still didn't know really for weeks afterwards. When I knew I'd done a good job was when my boss called me about 2 or 3 months later. I mean, they'd said, well done, but I wasn't 100% sure. A couple of months later, the main host on ESPN UK at the time had to go in for emergency surgery, and he was supposed to host the FA Cup final of 2012, Chelsea against Liverpool. And my boss called me and he said, Ray can't do it. He's going into hospital. And I was the sideline reporter, and I did do hosting, but I was always the number 2, always the number 2. And he said, I want you to do it. And honestly, girls, he could have picked, there were lots of men. He could have picked from lots of men. And he said, you're the best man for the job. So I straight away, I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. But how am I going to do an 8-hour live broadcast pitch side at Wembley when I've only ever done, 3 or 4 hours with 4 pundits? Anyway, I did it. And I think that was the day when I went home after that show and I thought, do you know what? Maybe I can do this. I hadn't made a mess. The 4 pundits seemed to respect me and my questions and my way of working, because there's lots of them that don't always out there. But they were great with me. And I just thought it had gone seamlessly. And I thought, maybe I can. And then weirdly, from that moment on, I think I took on a slightly different level of confidence, which I think then showed, because that summer I actually came to America and hosted Euro 2012 for ESPN. And that was where NBC saw me first and then took me a year later to do the Premier League. And I just think it's being, you know what it is? It's being thrown in to sink or swim. And if you think it's okay, I just don't think that thing is meant for you. But if you swim, that gives you this level of confidence you never knew was coming, and that then can take you forward.
Okay, Rebecca, you're live. What is the funniest crazy moment that has happened to you in your career?
Some of the ones that come to mind, I was live at Arsenal. It was Arsenal against Leeds in the FA Cup 5th round, I think, and we were put in front of the away fans, so the Leeds fans, which are notoriously quite rowdy. And I was with Martin Keown and Robbie Savage. We were just going about our business live on TV. And then suddenly, in the middle of the conversation, Martin Keown got hit on the side of the head. And you can find it on YouTube. It's everywhere. It's the most unbelievable direct hit with a ball from a Leeds player on the halfway line. We were by the goal. He had chipped it. Or I don't know would he have chipped it, girls? You tell me. He whacked it basically all the way. It did not bounce, and it caught Martin Keown on the side where his microphone, not in the middle of he was in the middle of a sentence, and live on TV. And by the way, I don't know what that feels like. That would hurt a little bit if you weren't expecting it, right?
Yes.
And I'm live on TV. I'm like, are you okay? And I'm there going, I'm so sorry. Are you okay, Martin? He was like, and we were looking, and I sort of forgot that I was on TV. I was like, gosh, do you want a tissue? And I'm like trying to find a tissue and being like complete mother. He's a bit like completely dazed out of it. Like the balls come out of nowhere. Robbie Savage is Robbie Savage just talking. I don't know what he was talking about. And then I had to try and get Martin back on track. The whole thing was just like a complete 5 minutes of weirdness, but well played, by the way. That they'd done it on purpose. They were actually aiming for Robbie Savage because nobody liked Robbie Savage back then. And he missed and he got the guy next. But it was a very good shot. So there was that. I mean, there's just so many things. I once interviewed Cesc Fabregas and I was so nervous. Shock. I spent most of my career nervous. I was so nervous. It was after Arsenal against Wolves and I was in the tunnel at Molineux and he comes for the post-match interview and he's man of the match and I think I might have been doing these interviews for like less than a year. And I called him Sex. Full on enunciation of the words. Sex, well done. What is happening? Now, thank the Lord, this was like 2009. So Twitter was kind of there, but there was no viral situation. Can you imagine? And bless him, he just, a little smile when he answered. But I'd sort of gone down the road of a full-on word like sex. How was your game today? That I couldn't then go, oh, so sorry, Cesc. I was just so nervous I couldn't speak. He was laughing. I mean, yeah, things like that. You just got to keep going. You just got to keep going and look like you meant it all along. But that was embarrassing. So I've had quite a few things like that, ladies.
Can you choose in England? I always feel like here we talk about like how, because it wasn't until really NBC that these games were completely. So like for us to fall in love with, it was usually players, right? Who was in our magazines at the time or like who. And so like in England, like, can you choose who you want to do? Or is it like strictly where you live?
It's pretty much either where you live or your family. So if you are born in London, but your dad was from Manchester, you can get away with being a Manchester City or a Manchester United fan. But with the London accent, it's always going to be tricky. Again, if you were born in London, but your dad's a Liverpool fan, you can be a Liverpool fan because he is and he'll take you. But again, without the accent, it doesn't always come off authentically. And it's hard, even if you die-hard Liverpool fan, if you're not a Scouser, it doesn't feel or sound right. So on the whole, it's either family or mainly it's geography. And because there's a football club within like 10 miles of everyone's house in England, literally, I mean, it might not be a Premier League club, but it's crazy how many clubs there are here in the 5 levels of English football, not to mention all the ones below. You can pretty much, wherever you're born, there's a club like down the road.
Zach chose for me. So I didn't have a choice for our family. So our sons are growing up Tottenham fans. So we're really in a struggle right now. But then I say Kay has got it the best way because the best way I feel to fall in love with the team is to be a part owner. I mean, truly, that is true. Pretty spectacular.
That is true. But girls, can I just say, launching a podcast the season where both of you might get relegated is very brave. Can I just say that? Very brave. We are 2 days away from the final day.
Just like you said, it's sink or swim.
Sink and swim, girl. Sink and swim. Yeah, you're absolutely right. How come Zach supports Spurs?
So I say this all the time. I'm a bandwagon fan. Because I didn't grow up with it, I feel like I can't. I just like good soccer. So the top 4 teams, you're my teams because I like to watch really good soccer. So I'm a bandwagon fan. I just admit it. It's just the way it is. Zach, when you go, it's like when people go overseas to like learn or like do study abroad. They like come back. It's like, you know, the culture. And so Zach played there with the Eagles, actually, at the Tottenham Stadium. Well, before the the new
The
stadium
old one,
was
White
built.
Hart Lane.
Yes. And so we got to stay after, and I got to show him what like soccer culture is at the highest of level. And he fell in love with it. And he was a big soccer fan now, but was then too. But that moment, like I took him, it was a huge game. It was like Tottenham versus Man City. It was like insane. It was like sold out. And so since that moment, I kid you not, and he's like is a huge Harry Kane fan. So it just changed it. And like our kids now are like, go Spurs. And it's like, it's so funny. Like, it's now so fun because obviously I love it, but like, it's cool to see it in like our kids now growing up to have that. And like, that's not how necessarily I grew up. I grew up because I loved the sport, but I didn't like see it on TV.
But wait, I'm seeing that all the time with families. Sorry, Kate, go.
Oh no, I was just going to say it's so cool over there. Like even a team like Burnley, you walk through the town, jerseys everywhere. And like America is just so different. Even with our sports here, we have just so much here that it's not like every town you see NFL jerseys or NBA jerseys. It's just that like tradition there. It's so special. So Julie and I are trying to implement this with our kids, but it's such a special tradition there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that over time that will translate. We're going to see it more in the States. We really are. You know, when we do fan fests and you get whole families and you get these kids who said, oh, Rebecca, I've been watching you since I was 5. And now they're like 20. And you're like, oh, thanks. But they're all like, I know, but they've all been indoctrinated, for want of a better word, by their mums and dads. And now they're all turning up and they're all in their Chelsea shirts or they're all in their Spurs shirts. And they are creating mini versions of what's happening in England. And just as the years go by and as this gets better and more accessible and more marketed, I think you're going to be walking down small towns, and maybe it's not like you say, Kay, maybe it's not like one town is all going to be the same club. And maybe that's okay that America does it a little bit differently, but one town is going to have, 10 different supporter groups in it. And I don't know. I just love that. I love the way America is different in so many ways. And this is just another way. And I think it's lovely.
But it's so cool because you truly are like the face of that. Like when I think of the Premier League coverage, I think of you. And especially in America, everybody knows Rebecca Lowe. If you know anything about soccer, you know Rebecca Lowe. So like you are doing the work to bring it to America. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you so much. It's still crazy to me. I still have lots of pinch me moments and lots of moments of just, you know what it is, I think as well, girls, it's like getting in somewhere at the beginning. So the honor for me is to be able to have started this. And I know what you mean, because you could watch the games before NBC had it, but it was much more sporadic, it was harder. You couldn't watch every game every weekend. When NBC got the rights, it did change everything. And I'm so glad I started when they started, because getting in at the beginning and being part of building something, and gosh, the difference from when I first got here in 2013 to where we are now in the States with football, and to be a part of helping doing that. Oh, I mean, it's honestly, it's such a joy. It's been like one of the joys of my life for sure.
Rebecca, we have a segment called Cold Moments brought to you by Coors Light. And we have a question. What is your favorite Premier League moment from your career?
Ooh, my favorite Premier League moment from my career. Gosh, that's a good question. You know what's terrible? Being a journalist is that I always pick the bad moments, because they're always like the sort of the challenging broadcasting moments, like the moment that Steven Gerrard slipped and then they lost the title. Oh, that was terrible. But it was, for a journalist, it was like, this is gold. How do I handle this? I mean, Leicester City winning the title in 2016 was incredible. The only problem was I was giving birth about 2 weeks beforehand. Yeah. So I did the whole season. Can you believe it? The biggest season in Premier League history. I'm the whole season pregnant. And then I leave and they won it like 3 weeks later. And I was like, oh, of all the moments to miss. But I did get to witness the Jamie Vardy and the Riyad Mahrez and those moments week in, week out. And I think every week that passed by in that season, I was like, this is the coolest thing. And it still is the coolest thing that's happened to English football. Leicester City winning the title in 2016. I mean, especially when you look at where they are now. But that, for me, that's why I love the game. Because as a Crystal Palace fan, and you guys, you know, Tottenham can challenge for the title. Burnley are like Crystal Palace, unlikely to. But hey, if Leicester can do it, why can't we do it? The utter dream that would be, I mean, my life would be done. I mean, I'd just be done. If that ever happened, honestly, we won the FA Cup final last year, which was top 3
Yes.
greatest days of my life. Sometimes it's on the same level as my marriage. Sometimes it's above. Just depends on the day, how my husband is. No, it was such a dream winning the FA Cup that the idea of actually winning the league is almost, that actually freaks me out, how like nothing else after that would be fun. What's ever going to be as good as that? So I think Leicester City, week by week, is the coolest.
Can you take us through that day with Teddy? Teddy was there, right? I remember seeing that video and it was so special.
And you know, it was the anniversary. I mean, I talk about it like I'm married to the day. It was the anniversary of May the 17th,
You kind of are.
2025.
Yeah, you are.
Honestly, it's definitely part of the marriage, I'm telling you. I wanted every single second of that day, all of the pomp and ceremony, Abide With Me, national anthem. I wanted to see the very moment that Dean Henderson came out to warm up. Like, who cares? It's an hour to go. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it. I also don't want anyone to talk to me. Just don't talk to me. Let me just focus on Palace, and that's all I care about today. And I think Teddy was slightly overawed by it, because how at 9 years old can you really... First of all, he probably thinks this happens every year. And I kept trying to say to him, like, mate, this isn't going to happen for a long time. Although now we're in the Conference League final, he thinks we are actually in finals every year. But I said, honestly, this might not happen again until you're grown up. Watching him watch it, watching my husband watch us, because my husband, you know, he's only a fan of Palace because I am. He's not naturally a fan of Palace. I think I describe it as peak joy. When that whistle went, peak joy. It's like pure beauty of a feeling. And so the only way I can describe it. I mean, and honestly, I'm sort of content for the rest of my life if we never win anything again. I am. It was amazing.
I do want to like go on talking about motherhood as well. Cause like we say, like Kay and I talk all the time, we're in beautiful chaos. We have our own 5-a-side team. So
all boys.
Yeah, all boys.
Oh,
So like, how did you balance being a mom? I mean, you talked about having it in between your career. Like what have you like learned through that and being able to like have him be a part of that? Because, you know, you love motherhood, you love what you do. Do you have anything like that you would tell to us, especially in the age that we're at?
It's really hard. You know, you catch me on the day that my son is finishing 4th grade today. It's his final day. And I'm sure you girls have done it or seen it at least, that when they start school and finish school, you know, you always do the little chalkboard and you write on it, you know, first day and what they want to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
And I forgot to leave the chalkboard. And I FaceTimed him this morning and he was going into school and he's with his friends. And I was like, I forgot to do the chalkboard. And I would have made my husband do the picture and everything. So now I've got to do it when I get home next week. And we'll mock it up. And I probably won't remember it in 20 years, but I remember it today and I felt terrible. And I actually had a little cry. And because I'd been away for a week. And this is a long stretch for me. Normally I'm just away a couple of days, but this is at the end of the season. And I just felt just like the worst mom, just like the absolute worst mom. Of course, he doesn't care. They never do. I think the biggest thing I've learned is not to be too hard on yourself, which is a hard thing to learn, and I'm still doing it. But one of the biggest things I've learned is, especially when they're little, I gave myself a harder time. I mean, it was awful. My husband used to say to me, you've got to please stop giving yourself a hard time. You work, and it's okay. And Teddy is fine, and he's happy, and he's with me, But I realize as the years go by that honestly, he has no recollection of anything, girls. To the point, and I've told the story before, but to the point that when I left for Tokyo in 2021 for the Olympic Games, Teddy was 5.5. And I recorded 22 bedtime stories. So 22 videos. And I sent them to my husband every day so he could play one out, you know, one of Teddy's favorite books. When I was leaving for maybe the Milan Olympics, maybe, or the Paris, I reminded Teddy. Well, I thought I was reminding Teddy of that. And I said, well, I can record the stories like I did before. And he said, what? I said, you remember? You remember, Ted? The 22 bedtime stories that I spent 2 hours. You remember that? He was like, no. Okay, great. And I think that taught me that the guilt, especially in the early years, they have no recollection of any of it at all. And actually, as he gets older, I'm also realizing something that somebody once told me, and I thought, no, I don't agree. I actually think they need you more when they're older. I'm feeling now at 10, Teddy just turned 10. They need you in a different way. When they're babies, they obviously need you in in a completely different way. But I just get the feeling now he's just starting to talk to me about falling out with friends or being nervous about something and having emotions that they don't have when they're 4 or 5. And I want to be around for those moments. And I'm realizing that at 10, 11, 12, and then as he goes up, he's going to remember this way more than he's going to remember that I wasn't there to, when he was 2.5 years old to see him, run for the first time or whatever it is. That's actually interesting to me. And so that's made me look at the motherhood and being a working mum in a totally different way. I'm now even more focused about I am really, really disciplined. You ask any of my friends, I'm so antisocial because when I'm home, I probably allow myself one evening out every 6 weeks during the week. 'Cause I'm at work at weekends. I just don't go out. He is, after I've done my work, I can't be out on an evening when he's at home, because I'm out on a Friday and a Saturday anyway. So I'm very disciplined with that. So I've really learned and my friends understand, and if they can get me, they can get me. But if they can't, that's just the life that I live. It's kind of different from everybody else's. And you two do the same. It's the different kind of world to other people's, in terms of it's just not Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And some days I wish I was Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, So it's knowing that everyone has their own wishes that it was different. And everyone has their own wondering, am I doing it right? And maybe I should do this, and maybe I shouldn't work at all. And everyone is thinking the same thing. Or maybe I should work and don't want to be at home. And everyone has their questions. And I think we just have to muddle along and do our very best. But ultimately, I don't think the kids care that much. I just don't think they care as much as we think they do. That's kind of the bottom line of it.
I remember before I had kids, people would say, like, I have this mom guilt. I remember we were at a wedding one time and our friend was like, oh, I'm so guilty for leaving my kids. And I remember thinking, that is so weird. Like, it's a weekend. They do not care. But then once you have kids, you realize, like, it's almost this, like, biological thing inside of you where you just feel so guilty. Even if I do some work for a couple hours, I'm like, oh, are they missing me? But you're so right. Like, they don't even remember or care, but it's just really hard as a mom to, like, convince yourself of that.
It is. And I think that why is it so hard to convince ourselves? Because I would say to you and you would say to me, they're fine. They're not going to, but we can't tell ourselves it. It's so weird. I do the same thing. I plan everything when Teddy's at school. If I would never dream of doing a conference call or a podcast while he's at home, because I would say, well, why are you wasting time when you could be with him? You could do that during the day. So I sort of cram everything in so that when he comes home, I'm like, okay, now I've got nothing to do. This is great. And then he just wants to watch TV or go and play in the garden anyway. And I'm like, oh, I could have done all my things.
Yeah.
That mum guilt, though, you're right. Until you have kids, you don't understand, and nor should you. But I also wonder, I don't know what you girls think, but I don't know if our parents had it as bad. I don't know if it's only a biological thing. I think it's a biological thing on top of a society thing. Because I'm not sure. I mean, it didn't mean they loved us any less, but I don't remember my mum ever feeling it was fine. She just had a job, and if she was there, she was there. If she wasn't, she wasn't. It's fine.
Exactly. And I feel like both my parents worked, and it, like, builds character. Like, you have to figure things out on your own, and you have to, whatever your situation is, like, it does build character. So I'm like, they're fine. But you're right. I think social media and this, like, pressure to be such a good parent, it just weighs on you.
Yeah. Social media. Don't even get me started.
Yeah.
That is it's such a good lesson. And again, one that's, like, definitely learned through motherhood. I always think too, just, like, zoom out of just everything about a lesson that you've learned. Like, I feel like in my career, like, there's moments that are just so pivotal that give you, like, a different perspective. Like, for me, I always now, like, my, like, saying that I tell myself is, like, adversity can be your best friend. And I've always said that because it's like, when things got really tough in my career, it was like, it ended up making me better on the other end of that. Do you have one in your head that, like, even if you teach Teddy or just, like, in general, that you kind of tell yourself, because you've talked about before, you've been through that, right? It's sink or swim. Is there a lesson in your life through your either career or just life in general that you kind of, like, have really lived by, especially when you talk about as you get older? Because that's how I feel. I feel like now I'm in my 30s, I'm like, whoa, I feel like I have such a different perspective. I feel like I'm so different, even just after having kids.
Gosh, there's actually quite a few, Julie, that I would say come to mind. One of them, which is a little bit about going back to motherhood again, and about remembering who we are before we had children, and that we're still okay to be that person as well as a wife and a mum. I remember hearing it when Teddy was newborn, and somebody, I'm not sure where I heard it from, but they said never ever leave your kid and go to work and tell your kid that, oh, I wish I didn't have to go to work. I wish I could stay back with you. Because the child's not going to understand, well, then just stay back. They don't understand why you have to go to work to pay the bills, but they don't get that. They're 2 or 3 or whatever. And I remember even Teddy was 6 months old, and I would put him down on a Thursday night, and I had to take the red eye to work every Thursday night in those days. Mainly to get a night's sleep, to be quite honest, because I didn't have to do a feed. I was like, I'll take the red eye, honey, you can do the feeds. And now I fly on a Friday because he sleeps now. But I would put him down on a Thursday, and I remember him being 6 months old in his little sleep sack. Oh, and I remember saying out loud, again, I'm a big believer that babies, I don't know if they understand, but I always felt that he understood everything I told him. It went in there somewhere. And I remember saying to him, right, Mummy's going to work tonight. Remember, it's a Thursday. I'm talking to him like he's 5, but I was like, remember, it's a Thursday night. Mummy always goes to work on a Thursday night. And Mummy loves her job. She loves her job. She wants to go. And Mum's so excited about going, but then she's so excited about coming back and seeing you on Sunday. She loves you so much. And I would say that to him every Thursday night. And then as he got older, and he went through some periods on a Friday where he didn't want me to go, which they are the absolute worst. And the thing my husband always did was, as soon as Teddy got a bit sad, he would distract him straight away and say, oh, Ted, let's go and get breakfast because Mum's got to go to work and she's going to do a great job, aren't you, Mum? Have a great time. She's going to have so much fun this weekend, and she's going to come back and we're going to do everything next week. And he would always step in for me, because if not, I'm there on the doorstep crying, and then I'm making everything worse because now I'm doing what I told myself I shouldn't do, which is show that I didn't want to go to work. Even though I did want to go to work, I just didn't want him to cry. I'm crying because he's crying. So I thank my husband for that. And my husband always says, Paul always says to me, you're going to work. It's okay. Like, lots of women do it. Don't make it look like you should feel bad for doing that. And I just thought, and then so now as he's older, in fact, I had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and I said, so, I'm going to the World Cup this summer, and I'm going to be away for 5 or 6 weeks. It's a long time. I have about 3 days off. I don't even know if I'm going to get to see you, Ted, but I'll speak to you every day, obviously. But you know that this is like the dream of my life. And I said, other than you, who is the dream of my life, this is the career dream of my life. Nothing will ever be bigger than this in my life. This is something I never thought I'd get, and it's everything. And now he's 10, he kind of gets it more. Still not fully, I don't think, but he gets it more. And I said, so I'm so excited and nervous and everything for this thing. And you'll be able to watch it. But I just want you to know I'm going to think about you every day, and I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you afterwards. But I want you to know that this is Mummy's dream. Just like your dream is to play for Arsenal.
You're literally making me cry.
I know. It's making me cry thinking about all of it. But yeah, I just want him to sort of understand that it's okay to have a dream. It's okay to still be the person I was before I had him, and for him to understand that we can be two things. We can live that dream and also have him as a dream, And yeah.
I love that advice, because you don't then want to leave to work and be like, why am I here? I should be with my kid. And then when you're with your child, you're like, why did I? It's just, you almost have to be like, when I go, that's my dream. I love it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And when I'm home, I'm going to do that. It's just trying to kind of separate the two in a way so that you can be the best in both.
And I think that's where it's really helped me living on a different coast, funnily enough, or it would help if I just lived, a few hours away from the studio, because I've managed to compartmentalize my life like that. I'm not sure if I lived down the road from the studio and I came home straight after the show, still full makeup and hair, still in the mode on a Saturday night of like, so-and-so's been fired and so-and-so scored a hat trick and I've got to write the show for tomorrow morning. And Teddy was there wanting to play in the garden. I would find it very difficult to be present in either thing. I'd go and play with him for an hour while thinking about what am I going to write for the top of the show tomorrow. Then I'd put him to bed and go and write the show, but by which point I'd be so tired because I'd have just played with Teddy for an hour. And then who's winning there? Nobody. Now, I'm not saying I've got this right, girls, and I'm not saying that every day I'm at work, I'm like, yay, I'm at work, or every day I'm at home, I'm like, I don't want to go to work, I want to be at home. There are still days within both sides of my life where you ask Paul, he'll say to me, if I have a summer where there's no Olympics or no World Cup and I'm just off for 2 months, he's like, geez, after 3 weeks, she's got to go back to work. I mean, this girl, she's a nightmare. And I am, after 3 weeks of rest, I'm like, right, let's go. So I'm difficult to control. So I know I have to work. But then when I'm at work, there are lots of days where I'm like, like today, like I've missed Teddy's last day of 4th grade. And really hurt. So I'm not saying I've got it right, but I just try to give myself that grace that it is okay to still be Rebecca, not just Teddy's mum, not just Paul's wife, not just, all those other things that, and that is okay. And I hope I'm setting a good example to him. And you can just hope, girls. Seriously, all you can just do is hope.
Well, we are so excited to watch you at the World Cup. When that was announced, I was like, you could not have picked a better person. You talk about it, it's a dream for you to do this. What does it mean to you to be hosting this?
Okay. When my boss at NBC walked in the studio, it was about a year ago now, and he said, "Oh, can I have a quick word?" And I thought, "Oh God, I'm in trouble here," because the boss, he's pretty scary. And he will come in and see us, but he doesn't say, "Can I have a quick word?" unless you've done something wrong. So I was like, "Here we go." And he told me to take off my microphone, and he said, "Fox have phoned and they'd like you to do this," and we've said yes. Honestly, girls, I was like, are you punking me? Does that program still exist? Like, what is happening? What? First of all, who borrows hosts? I've never seen that in America. So I was thinking, are you 100% sure? Can we just double check before I say anything? And he said, yeah, it's all good. We said yes. So he goes, unless you have a vacation booked for the summer of 2026. Sorry, if I had a trip to the moon, I would be cancelling. Over the past 12 months since I found out I was doing it, it probably hasn't left my brain for more than 2 hours at one time. And then when it comes back like it hits me like a truck. And that's happening more and more and more. I mean, now it doesn't leave my brain for more than 10 minutes, to be quite honest with you. It's the competition that has kind of framed my entire life from that little girl who was 9 with Italia 90. And I know where I was every 4 years. I can tell you exactly where I was, like most people can, where they were every 4 years. It's the fact that England are looking quite good. It's the fact that it's in the country that I am now a citizen of, where my baby was born, where I feel the more at home that I ever felt I'd be able to feel anywhere else other than England. Love it so much. It's like, really? And I get to host this thing? It's the greatest party in the world. And it's like, really? So I'm still pinching myself. A couple of sleepless nights here and there with some crazy dreams going on, when things break or like you're, all those things that happen in your mind. I think also I just want to start. It's been a long time coming. I've known for a year and 2 months now, and I'm 3 weeks away, and I'm like, okay, can we get going? Because I can't really take much more.
You're so excited. I know. So I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot. Give like 3 storyline predictions, like that you think that like either this player is going to be kind of a star player, like any storyline. Like give us some tea that you think like would be like this is going to be like some 3 big ones.
Okay,
you can do one.
Okay. Well, I think Cristiano Ronaldo is just going to be obviously a storyline of some description. Is he going to start a game? Is he 41? I should know that. He's either 40 or 41. I mean, he's basically the same age as me. Are you starting a World Cup game?
It's crazy.
That whole situation of whether Roberto Martinez starts him, I think is really interesting. And then if he doesn't start him, what are we doing? Are we just going to film him on the bench? And every time the ball goes out of play, we're just going to see him on the bench? Because that's what's going to happen until he suddenly gets up to warm up, and then we're filming him warming up, and is he coming on? So that dynamic of him and the Portugal team, who, by the way, are a dark horse and have the most incredible midfield and could go all the way, part of me wants him to win it. Part of me wants him to win it because Messi's won it. And now I feel like I kind of want him to win it.
What a storyline.
One of the greatest. One of the greatest of all time to lift the World Cup. That's what should be happening in football. So I've got a Cristiano Ronaldo storyline for sure. I like Japan as a dark horse. They are not only really pretty good, like quietly pretty nifty. Like I saw them beat England a few months ago, and I was like, whoa. If you look down their squad, they've got names that you would recognize. But their attitude, when they gave some press interviews a couple months ago, a couple of the players were like, oh, we're coming to win it. We're actually going to win it. They weren't saying like, we're going to try and get quarters and no, we're going to win it. We believe we can. And I kind of love that for them. I love that for them, for their nation, for the people that they are. Love that. So I'm keeping an eye on Japan. So those are my 2 big ones. But I really genuinely, I want the US men's national team to kill it. I want them to kill it because it's great for Fox's coverage, and the longer they go, the better our coverage is and the more people are going to watch. But because I think this country, I think the United States is so sport obsessed, but never gets the chance, other than the Olympics, which we saw with the ice hockey and the Winter Olympics when the US men and women got to the final, beat Canada. It was great. That was so amazing with 30 million people watching, and it was 9:00 in the morning. Imagine if the US men's national team emulated what Julie's team did, like emulated what the women did, and get to I don't think they're going to get to the final, but imagine if they even got to a quarterfinal, and this country finally got a chance to support its men's team the way it supports its women's team, because it is waking up to football. There is no doubt about it. When I first came over here, I always call it the sleeping giant, with it had a half an eye open when I came here. Now the eyes are all open. And
the coverage is everywhere. Everyone's talking about it right now.
You can't escape it. You can't.
Yeah.
And this summer, people are saying, oh, there's not really a buzz. That people always say that. Whatever. The minute that first ball is kicked on June the 11th, the buzz is going to take over everyone's life. It's going to be all eyes on it. And if the USA can win their first game against Paraguay, which I think is June 12th, if they can get, Julie, you know as well, that first win in a World Cup, if you can get that first win, the groundswell of momentum, love, support, crazy expectations. It's like, oh, we're going to win the World Cup now.
We're going to get to the final.
But that's what you live for in life and in sport. So if you can win their first game, I think the following wind could be actually more damaging to everybody else than anyone realizes right now. But they've got to win that first game. So that's, for me, what I'm looking for.
There's a lot of pressure on them. I think, the conversation, especially ever since we didn't make the World Cup, it's always the golden generation. The expectation is so high. But like you said, the expectation was never to necessarily win, and you want it to be kind of what our expectation on the women's team was. So what is the buzz? Obviously Kay and I are going to be cheering like nobody's business, but you're in the circle. We want the tea.
Well, from the from the people I talk to in the circle, I'm told they're going to walk the group. Now, I'm a little nervous about Turkey, or Turkey A, as we have to call them. I'm a little nervous about Turkey A. It's their third game, and I think man for man, they have better players. Makes me a little concerned about walking the group. You really do need to walk the group, though. You really do need to finish top. We need to finish top to get that easier draw, don't we? Let's say we do. Let's say we finish top. If we finish top of our group, I mentioned the following wind. I'm not sure then, girls, it's about quality. I think it's about everything else that happens at a World Cup. You both know. It's about the press. Yes, there's pressure, but it's about the press and the pressure and the atmosphere and the marketing and the interviews and the coverage and all of that. And it's about getting that there. And it's about Maurizio Pochettino turning that into the privilege, not into that sort of fridge that's on your chest. If he can do that, which he can, because I think he's a world-class, might be a stretch, but a very, very good manager. I think man management, he's brilliant. If he can do that, and the US men's national team can finish top of the group, I think we can get to the quarterfinals. And I think when you talk to, and I speak to a lot of the guys at the ex-pros, they all think quarterfinals is both realistic, but they're hopefully realistic, I should say. Hopefully realistic. But for me, it all comes down to what goes on around them and whether or not they can mentally use that. You girls know that must be so hard when there's expectations on you to channel them positively as opposed to be weighed down. England, for example, has been weighed down by the expectations forever. That's been the problem. So can they just block out the noise, know it's there, but somehow find a way to use it to go further? So if they do, the vibe and the buzz is there's a handful of really good players in there. Then there's some good players, and I think that's all you need to make a good run, as long as you've got the following wind and the head coach to mentally get it right.
It's awesome. Well, we cannot wait to watch you, Rebecca. We are so excited, and we are so honored that you came on the show, and you're our dream. You are literally our idol. So thank you so much.
You two are mine, honestly, in every way. I absolutely adore you. And I am so, honestly, so honored. As I said, clear the diary, cancel everything. I'm going with the girls.
Forget Pulisic jerseys. Forget Weston McKinney jerseys. I need a
we
Rebecca Lowe jersey.
We do. That's a great idea.
Oh, you're so funny. Bless you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank
Thank
you. And
you so
everyone
much.
watching, please subscribe and follow us on socials
Yes.
at Style of Play Show.